Okay, so
Morning, all.
morning. Right, I'm getting a little bit confused. Where are we? Okay, there we go. So, morning. You should be able to see my 15-minute chart for Euro Aussie dollar on TradingView. And before I get started, I need to do a little disclaimer, which is that I'm not licensed to give financial advice. I'm just one of the ninjas helping others to improve their trading. Any trades that you do take, you should always make your own analysis, do your own analysis before jumping in. The second thing I need to do is just check the news. Forex Factory, there's quite a bit of news today. It's almost all low-level stuff. There's a lot of European news earlier this morning, but these are individual countries. So you've got things like Spanish, German, Italian. There's a bit of GBP news at 9:30. I suspect there won't be a great deal of impact on what we're doing this morning from any of these low-level European items. They've got a few more things on my FX book. Where are we? I was looking at this earlier. This is where we are now. So you've got individual countries again. That's France. That's Germany. These are high level, well, regarded as high level on my FX book in 25 minutes time. So maybe there'll be a little bit of effect on those whilst we're on this session. That's Germany unemployment rate. So the fact that there's quite a lot of individual countries with varying degrees of news may just rattle. Well, what it's more likely to do is to give the institutions an excuse to hide their manipulation. So we need to be aware of that. It's now 4 minutes past 6 in the UK. I've actually put this up for any newcomers. We've got, this is what we're doing this morning. We look at 4 pairs between 6 and 8 each day. Those are the 4 pairs. At lunchtime, we can do the same thing between 1 and 3, but we look at 4 different Forex pairs, and I also look at gold. John McLaughlin is doing a 1 o'clock session on Crossfire today. And finally, we've got a workbook and a couple of videos. I think there's probably now 3 videos in the Ninja Facebook group, and I believe they've now been moved to guide number 10. So if anybody wants to take a screenshot of that whilst I'm on this chart, by all means do so. So we've just got 10 minutes. We've now got a 6 o'clock candle. We can't do anything until that 6 o'clock candle is complete, but what we can do is get ready for 6:15. So I've already drawn sort of a pale yellow rectangle covering the time span between 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. That's really just to focus my eye on what we're doing this morning. I need to put a couple of trend lines on in readiness for 6:15. I put a green trend line. Well, that will be a green trend line in a second, and put a second red trend line below current price. Going to change that to green. Okay, so we're all set up for 6:15 when we can start to look at individual trades. So we've got one of the Forex pairs set up there. I'm just going to move you guys out of the way. There we go. So the second pair, if you look at this panel here, The second pair we look at is Euro NZD. I've already put my trend lines on there and the rectangle. GBP AUD, the same, and GBP NZD, the same. Now, just a word about this rectangle. You need to be able to see the wicks. Excuse me, just turn my phone off. There we go. We need to be able to see the wicks on this 6 o'clock candle. So if you're looking at this for the first time and you've tried putting a rectangle on, as it comes out of the box, the rectangle generally has a border on it, and it will look something like that. So you need to get rid of that border because that is now concealing the wicks on that candle there. And it's impossible to do this strategy if you can't see the wicks. So if you click on the rectangle, go to this pencil icon here, that is the border. You can reduce the opacity. I reduce mine down to 0 and it gets rid of that black border. I can now see the wick completely. So we've got 7 minutes. We can't actually do anything, but what I normally do is I put the magnet tool on and I snap these trend lines to what may or may not be their final position. So what I'm looking at here, if it was now 6:15 and that candle had closed, I'll be looking to the left of that green candle and looking for the nearest high. So I'm going to place that on that top of that wick there. It's probably going to move, but we'll deal with that later. So we're looking again, 6 o'clock candle, the bottom of the wick is there. So I look the left, it's not that candle, it's this one here. So we go for the nearest lower low for the red trend line and the nearest high for the green trend line. We're just putting those temporarily in position just to save a few seconds when we come to 6:15. Now here you've got, there's a high. We need to look left, and at the minute that candle there is the nearest high. So I'm going to place that on there. The magnet tool allows you to put it in roughly in position. It snaps into position automatically. So I'm just going to move that up there. So look at the bottom of that candle, look to the left, and that's the next one. That's the nearest lower low. And we just work our way through the other two pairs. So again, there's the top of the wick, that's the nearest high. Sorry, that's not that. I want to be on that one. And the bottom of the 6 o'clock wick, that's the nearest lower low. And the last pair, Euro Aussie dollar. We'll just move those out of the way. So at the minute, that's the nearest high, and this red candle here is the nearest lower low. So that's all we can do until 6:15. There's no point in jumping in just yet. What we can do is have a quick look at, we put the Ninjacator on, we can have a quick assessment. On the 15-minute chart, we're currently in a ninja up, although that candle was a red candle. It's showing us that we're trending up. That 13 moving average, the green trend line there, is pointing upwards. So it's looking like the current situation is we're in an upward trend. And just to talk you through what I'm thinking looking at that chart, I'm looking at this blue line here, which is a 200 moving average. Now that may be where price is intending to go right now. So I'll just move my rectangle up there. I would suggest that this price is going to go make its way up to that blue line and then reverse, because price generally bounces off any one of these lines that are on your chart. Now, I have 5 moving averages on my chart, and I tend to use the moving averages as targets for my take profit. So if I was going to get into this trade and looking at that gap there, what I normally do is I just measure the gap between the moving average and where price is now. Well, to where it is now, it's 12.7 pips. But because we don't get into any trades until price gets above the green trend line. So you're looking at 6.6 pips. Now, I would disregard that. I would say, wait until you get a better opportunity. Some people might go for 5 pips in that, if in that move there, if price gets above the green line.
Richard, yeah. Where on that thing, the wick, you've gone way to the left rather than the red one, or is it? Are they about the same? So you actually go and look for one that's a bit higher. Yeah,
that's right. I'm regarding those two as being sort of equal height. I mean, I may be slightly wrong, but as I said before, you don't have to be totally accurate with these trend lines. But that one does seem to be equal. If I just put my dashed line across the top of that green can, you can see they're virtually equal, aren't they?
Yeah.
So I would disregard that first one. I would go to the second one. But having said that, we've got another minute left, and there's always a chance that wick will move upwards before we get to the 6:15. But don't worry about being 100% accurate. If you put your trend line from that candle there, it would still work out okay.
Okay.
Except the reason I would avoid that is that you can see what's happened there. It's now ending up with an upward angle on the green trend line, and ideally we want a downward angle on the trend line. But don't worry about it. It's not crucial. We'll just see how far this wick moves before 6:15. I'm going to stay on this chart until 6:15. We've got just a few seconds left. 2, 1, 0. So we've got a new candle form there, and nothing's changed there. So I'm going to stick with that. It's, as I say, it's not crucial, but that way I've now got a slight downward angle on the trend line. But I just feel more comfortable with a downward angle on the green trend line and an upward angle on the red trend line. That sort of satisfies me. So what I'm doing with this line here, I'm going to take the indicator off for the time being. It just confuses things. What I'm trying to do is get that red line to go through where the wick would be if there was a wick. Now let's just check that there's, right, so there's no wick on the bottom of the 6 o'clock candle. So we're trying to get it to touch in the center of that candle. Center left to right rather than top to bottom. So I'm just going to put it there. But as I say, it's not absolutely crucial that you get them in exactly the right position. So that's one pair set up. We'll just do the other 3 pairs. Now we've got a similar situation here. That looks identical to that. So I'm going to move this one. I'm going to take it to the one before, just so I get a downward angle on the. Well, that's now got 2 touches. It's touching that wick there. It's touching that wick there. It also appears to be touching that wick there. So that's fine. The bottom of the wick, look left, and it goes down to that one there. But don't get hung up on being 100% accurate. GBP AUD. Need to bring that down. So that's a 6 o'clock candle, look to the left. I don't know why that's better. So looking from the top of that 6 o'clock candle, look to the left, and we were right. That was
almost a straight line, isn't it?
It's almost a straight line. It's slightly downward angle again. And then we put that so that it goes up through and touch it. You see there is a small wick on the 6 o'clock candle. I'm just trying to touch that, and I think I've managed it there. I'll just move it a little bit further. There we go. And then the last one, it's a New Zealand dollar. Now, again, if I just move that out of the way, that's the 6 o'clock wick there. That is actually higher than the previous one, so I need to go further back. Go to that one there. Somebody's got birds singing in the background this morning. That's nice to hear. There we go. And no, I've got that wrong. I've got that wrong. I need to go to this one here. So this is the 6 o'clock candle. Okay, so we've got all four in place. So the first thing that I do is I change down to the 5-minute chart and I add the indicator, the ninjacator. So let's have a quick look, a quick summary of my thoughts on these charts. So that we're on.
Richard, can I ask a quick question? I have got 4 windows open. Would you suggest using the list on your right-hand side rather switching from one to another? Or is it a personal preference?
Yeah, it's just what you feel comfortable with. I think I've got a version of TradingView that would allow me to show 2 charts side by side. You must have a different version which allows you to have 4.
Just got the paid version, the first paid version.
Yeah, I mean, it's down to personal preference. I like to see one big screen, but that's entirely up to you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Just what you get used to, what your eye is comfortable with. I tend to like, fairly big. Well, I've got a MacBook and it's fairly small anyway. So to try and have 4 screens on a MacBook to me is a little bit uncomfortable. But anyway, so what I'm looking at here is I've got my 5 moving averages. The yellow trend line here, which is moving up at the minute, that's the 5 moving average, and then I've got the one that changes from green to red. That's the 13 moving average. It's actually concealed by that trend line there, but you can see where there it is. It's above the red at the minute. And I've got the 50 moving average, which is the orange trend line, but I've also got the 200 moving average, which is a blue trend line, and the 800 moving average, which is a purple trend line. Now, what I'm thinking when I'm looking at this is we're in a ninja up, and it's looking likely that price will either, price will either bounce off that green trend line, as it seems to be doing at the minute, or it'll break through the green trend line and start to head upwards. But what my concern is that if it does break through the trend line, it's going to bounce off this first moving average. And I'll take the magnet off because that sometimes causes problems. If you just take the measuring tool and measure down from that moving average to the green line, which is the earliest you'll be able to get in, you would only be looking at 6 pips. And by the time you take your broker spread off that, you're looking at maybe 4 pips, and therefore I'm going to discount that move. As I say, some people might go for 5 pips and be happy with that. I'm looking for a 10 pip move, and I've got 4 opportunities to get that. So this one isn't my favorite at the minute. In any event, it has actually bounced off. So it's not That's not an issue right now. The other thing we need to look at is what if price gets below this red line? Will we consider getting in? Now I would say no, because we haven't had a ninja down. So criteria for getting in for a sell would be ninja down, candle below, and price below the red line, and we'd need the PSAR to be on top anyway. So that's not in the running, if you like, at the minute. So we'll look at GBP. Similar thing has happened there. Price has gone up to the green line and bounced off it. I'll see if I can get closer into this. Yeah, so we've got a fairly steep red line there, but it's the same thing. Price, we've been in a ninja up, we're still in a ninja up. It's bouncing off that trend line. That green trend line is now acting as a ceiling. Price is trying to get through it, but it's not making it just yet. So we'll come back to that. Again, there's no rush because we need to get a ninjacator down before we get interested in taking a sell. If we were thinking about taking a buy, bear with me 1 second. If we were thinking about taking a buy, we've got no targets there because the 50, the 200 and the 800 moving average are all below the current price. So we're left with no target above. That doesn't mean it won't go above, but we're going to struggle to decide on a target on that in that situation. Yeah, I think this is one that we looked at before. We've got the 200 MA just above the green line. I doubt if there are 10 pips in that one just yet. No, it's only 7.5, and then bear in mind your broker spread, which is probably about 2 pips. I haven't checked at this time of day. It's normally that round about that. And again, price has bounced off the green line, going in the opposite direction. This is quite normal for this strategy at this time of day. You can be in a ninja up. You can think that you're continuing upwards, and it'll reject. So again, it's going down. So we just need to be patient. I think it was Chris yesterday pointed out that he normally waits until 7 o'clock for a move, and that I can confirm that is normally the case. If you're in a ninja up, it'll normally, the big move, the one that you want to be going for, will normally happen nearer to 7 a.m. than 6 a.m. But we start looking at them at 6 o'clock because sometimes you get an earlier move. But in general, it's normally 7 o'clock-ish. Right, anybody got any questions whilst we're waiting for something to happen?
I notice you're using 8 cap now. Are you finding that better?
Yeah, I'm on a evaluation phase, I think, with.
You're the same as me, right? Yeah.
So my broker feed is 8 cap. Just a point on that, we noticed something on Global Prime yesterday, which was it was showing what we were looking at. We were looking at volume profile. It was showing a different volume profile to Oanda, and also Helen Healy pointed out that there was a discrepancy with Global Prime on the measurement tool. It was showing the well, it was a decimal place that was out. So I think I'm going to try and avoid Global Prime in future. It does seem to be a little bit quirky. I'm talking about broker feed here, and as you, oh, there we go. So I'm on 8 cap, which is this one. If you change to Global Prime, it'll probably show a slight different. Actually, I can't find it now. Did I go past? Oh, there are Global Prime. So if I think the only reason I switched to Global Prime the other day was because I was wanting to look further back on the volume profile. So I'm quite happy with 8 cap. It seems to be fairly consistent. Shall we just have a quick look at volume profile from yesterday, just as a matter of interest? Not wanting to confuse anybody, but I work on 2 strategies, and this is the other one. On the 15-minute chart, looking at gold, which is what I concentrate on, you can see that price is starting to, if I put the 1 hour time frame on, you can see that price is actually starting to move upwards. That was 27th, that was Wednesday. There was a big move upwards on Wednesday. It continued upwards on Thursday, and today it's already made a big move upwards. So it is making its way. It's up at 1762 at the minute. It was way down. It was, I think it dropped below 1700 at one point. Yeah, it got down to that point there, which was 1680, and it's steadily making its way back up. I've got these black lines on here because these are points of interest, and I took those from previous high points. So there was a high point there, it's already gone through that. There was another high point there, it's already gone through that, and it's now heading, or potentially heading up to this a high point here. There are other high points further up if it continues its journey up. And just as a matter of interest, there's a massive area of imbalance there. Sticks out like a sore thumb. Big rectangles there, and all sells and no buys. So there is potential for price to go upwards if anybody's following volume profile. I could mark a few more points of interest above current price, but it's already made one big move this morning. That candle there is quite a big one. 4 o'clock. It made a big move yesterday at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. So it is steadily going back up. If anybody's watching volume profile, so we'll go back to Crossfire. And nothing really happening. Prices come below the, well, that's a point of interest there. It came below the red trend line, and it immediately whipped down to the 200 moving average, which is, that's something I've spotted is happening all the time. It'll go and take out those moving averages at every opportunity. So it's just sort of, it's bounced off the green trend line. It's broken through the red trend line. It's just paid a visit to the 200 moving average. So there was an opportunity for someone to take some pips there, if you've been on the ball instead of looking at something else. You might have struggled to get in time, but there's a few pips there. It's not many. It looks more than it is. It's only 3. Wouldn't have been worthwhile, really. It's not many. No, it looks bigger than it is. I need to reset the chart. Yeah, it still looks like a big move on that chart, but we've just measured it and it was only a few pips. But it sort of proves my theory that, you know, whenever you're close to one of these moving averages, there's a good chance that the price will pay a visit down to that, or down or up to that. And of course, there was 2 magnets there really, because we've got like a 50 moving average slightly below it. So there's 2 reasons for it to pop down there. And it may well come down in that direction again. We're in a period of consolidation. There's nothing. What we're doing on this strategy, we're looking for price manipulation, which normally occurs in this time window. At the minute, there's no manipulation, it's just doing its own thing. Possibly trying to tempt people into going for buys or sells and possibly taking out the stop losses. But as far as this strategy is concerned, we're not interested. There's nothing happening. So I just keep flicking through. I just keep flicking through and seeing if there's any opportunities going on. I suspect this pair will go above the green line and go up to that point there. So what I do is I'll look to see where the 800 moving average is. There it is. So looking at euro, New Zealand dollar, what I'm hoping for is that price will go above the green line. I'll probably stay out until it gets past the blue line there, and then think about getting into a trade to take me up to that purple line.
At the moment, the PSARs are sort of, you know, they haven't switched. They're all on the way down, and the gap is narrowing.
Which pair are you looking at?
Euro New Zealand dollar.
Well, the PSARs are underneath, so they're pushing the price upwards. So
I must have a wrong chart to you then.
Okay, well, I'm on 8 cap. I guess if we have a quick look at, say, Oanda, well, which broker feed are you
On FXCM.
Okay, we'll have a look at that.
What time frame are you on, Malcolm?
Sorry?
What time frame are you on? 5 minutes or 15?
Yeah, hang on. Let me. What were you saying? You use FXCM or Oanda?
No, well, I was asking what broker feed you were on, and you told me FXCM. So I've gone to FXCM on a 5 minute, and I've still got PSARs below. If I go to 15 minutes, yeah, PSARs are above on the 15 minute, but I prefer to work on the 5 minute.
The 5 minute. Okay, that's probably what the problem is then. Yeah, I'm on the 15 minute.
All right, you need to switch down to 5 minute.
Yeah, I've got it. The PSARs are underneath now.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, okay.
Thank you, Richard. Sorry to confuse everybody.
No problem at all. That's what these sessions are all about. And that is, when I first started doing Crossfire, I back tested it thoroughly, and I had quite a few. I was back testing it on the 15-minute time frame, which is where David Kahn and Armitage started off. And I had quite a few days when there were losses. Well, I took losses. Well, paper trading, back testing, I was coming across quite a few days when there were losses. And then I noticed that if I switched down to 5 minute time frame, I got more opportunities to get into trades and had way less losing days. In fact, on gold, I still have to encounter a losing day. So I'm finding for sure 5 minutes is a much better time frame to work on Crossfire.
And
so,
your lines have disappeared too.
Yeah, I've actually gone to Global Prime by mistake. I should be on 8 cap. Yeah, that was.
So if you change the broker, the lines don't stay then?
That's right. Yeah, they only stay on the broker feed that you put them on.
Ah, okay.
Here we go. So if I go back to 8 cap, which is this one, I should have my. There we go.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't. That's something learned.
Yeah. Well, you learn something every day.
GBP AUD on Oanda, you've got a ninja down.
GBP AUD. Okay, so we've got a ninja down. Can you see how it's just broken through the 50 moving average, but it's hesitating. If I was going to get in, which I could do because there's a 800 moving average down there, So I would just hesitate until that confirms that it's got through the 50 moving average. That's my personal view. I think I know one or two others who would get in right now and go for it, but I'd be a bit more patient. I will measure that gap. And you've got sort of roughly 15 pips potential there, but it's got, in my mind, it's got to break through that 50 moving average first before I would get in. But it's well worth keeping an eye on. The other thing that I would do at this stage is I would look at the euro Aussie dollar, see if that's behaving the same way. And yes, it is. We've not got a ninja down. We've already broken through the 50 moving average, but it's just hesitating a bit. So go back to GBP AUD. It's struggling to get past that 50 moving average. And then I'll look at the other GBP pair, see what's happening there. Again, we've got a down, got a ninja down. There are no, well, the 50 moving average is up there. What I would like to know is where the other moving averages are, and I suspect they're above. Yeah, they're above there. So if this does continue to go down, we have no target, no specific target to aim for. So I would just wait for a more definite move. The other thing I'd wait for, we're on a 5-minute candle, and I would always wait until that candle was at least halfway through, which it is right now. But you can see it can't make its mind up. So to me, that's I would just hang fire on that. I'll go back through the other pairs. Yeah, we're still struggling to get through the 50 moving average. Euro AD, same thing, can't make its mind up. Euro
Richard, on the Euro AUD, there's no target to aim at, is there, if it breaks through that 50, because the 800 is above on that one. That's the difference between the Euro AUD and the GBP AUD.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
So of the two, the GBP AUD is probably the better one to aim for because you've got a target. Yeah.
That would be the one that I would be aiming for. I think the GBP AUD, because it's got that 15 pip gap, that is more attractive to me than this one AUD. For the reason you've just stated, we've got the where is it? I'm not, but it's quite a big gap, but it's in the wrong direction. This is saying it's wanting to go downwards, but the moving averages are all above the current price. So that could still be a good trade, but if I'm only going to take one trade, which is the way I operate, I'm going to go for this one. Now this candle, this new candle it's just formed, has broken away. We've now got a reasonable gap between the 50 moving average and current price. So that now satisfies my criteria, apart from the fact we've now got a green candle. But this is looking my favorite at the minute. We've got a ninja down, the PSARs are above, we are below the red line, and we've got a target in sight. So I would favor that, and I'm just waiting for this candle to make its mind up. I'm not going to get into a trade because, as you know, I've lost focus before when I've been doing these sessions, and if you take your eye off the ball, you can. I got caught out last time I took a trade live, but this is looking like a good move. So I would, if I got into this, I would set my take profit just above this line, and I might get out once it got to 10 pips. As far as stop loss is concerned, the safest stop loss is always just above the PSAR, but that's a massive stop loss. So there are alternatives. this green line would act as a resistance to price. This red line is a resistance. The blue line's a resistance, and the orange line is also resistance. So you could take your pick. If you're feeling confident about the trade, you could stick with that orange line or that blue line and give yourself a much better risk to reward. But as I say, this candle is a bit, well, it's got long wicks at the top and long wick at the bottom, and that's telling me it's undecided. So what I would do is I would look at the multi-time frame stochastic. We've been in the extreme here. The 5 minute has started to head down. It's getting near the bottom. What I would be looking for would be for the green to start to turn down. That's the 15 minute, and then I would be feeling more confident. Right now, I'm not feeling 100% confident that this is going down. Price is actually going up, so let's just go back and look at the other pairs, see what's happened. You see the euro has changed its mind. It's now going back up. Same there. And GBP NZD again. They're starting to reverse. Now, all the signs were at that point there where you had a ninja down. You had a red dot on the AO MACD. You had the 5 minute going down, but there's just been some hesitation there. That doesn't mean to say it's not going to go down. It just means I wouldn't get in yet because you're likely to get some drawdown.
I've got the other one, or one of the other indicators on, Richard, which is the TDI.
Right.
And the green line is sort of heading downwards, but it crossed through the red line 25, nearly 15 minutes ago.
Okay.
It's picking up that big red candle, but it's
yeah,
they're all the indicators there, aren't they?
Yeah. It's just a question of being patient. I mean, I think this is going to go down. But
It's interesting as well. It's actually sitting. Only because I did it by accident, I had my V70 screen up and I put it on top of that, and it's actually sitting on the POS for today for the GBP Aussie. So it's interesting that it's sitting there.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we need to be on the AOD. Yes, exactly. It's as Anne says, this is today's POC, which is we tend to prioritize yesterday's POC as a target, but that today's POC is also a valid. It's acting as a resistance. It's acting as a floor. And it just needs to break through that, and I'm reasonably confident it will, but it's just going to take its time. And we get paid to be patient. I mean, you could get into that trade now if you were confident it was going to go down, but you'd be getting into drawdown, and there's no point in sitting in a trade in drawdown. You may as well wait until it makes its move. It's been tempted back to that 50 moving average, isn't it? On this particular chart, it's still hanging on to that 50 minute, and you've got the 5 minute just above it, and you've got the 200 just above that, and you've got the 13. So those are all really close together. The odd one out is the 800 moving average, which is down there. So this is trying to pull it in this direction, and those are trying to pull it back to where it started. Basically, you just got to be patient.
GBP NZD has dropped way down. It's really sort of heading down now.
Yeah, that's making a bolder move now. So have we got any targets below? I don't think we have. No. Let's have a look above. Yeah, two moving averages above, so that's a little bit confusing. But it is making quite a strong move down. Like I say, my favourite would have been GBP AUD, but this is making a stronger move. It's already travelled, but there was a ninja down. So even if I didn't get in that first candle, I might have been tempted to get in the second. But certainly by the time it got here, I should have been thinking about getting in. And you've already got 8 pips out of that. So yeah, because I was looking at others, I missed that. But that's a valid trade, and it's still continuing down. The 5-minute stochastic is not in the extreme yet, so there's room for it to go down even further. The 15-minute is tending to follow it down. It's curling down slightly. So there's a bit more room for maneuver before it turns back upwards. You got the red dot on the AMD. You've got a widening gap between the 5 moving average and the 13 moving average. They're both pointing downwards. So there is room for a bit more downward movement before it turns around. Let's just have a look at some other pairs. Now, the euro pairs have gone back. So we're not interested here because we're below the green line. We would definitely want to be above the green line for a buy. We're in a ninja down, so that's wait and see. That one's trying to go down. The 5-minute stochastic is pretty low down already. Just have a look, see if we've got any targets there. No, we've got no. So the targets are above, I'm guessing. Yeah, there's a target. So I tend to use those blue and purple moving averages as my targets. So this is keeps trying. But the one we missed out on that. Well, I missed out on that one. I don't know about anyone else, but that was a good potential trade. So what time was that? That was sort of 6:45 candle, wasn't it? Yeah, it seems to have made its move. Now thinking about going back up, I think. So, as I say, I think I just measured that, but I think there was 7 or 8 pips in there. Yeah, you could have got 8 out of that. And looking at that 5 stochastic there, it's just gone below the green, so it could well be going back up again. The 15-minute is sort of leveling out. It was heading down, but it's leveling out. So maybe that's made its move for now. GBP AUD. That's decided it wants to go back up. And that was the one I was saying was my favorite. So let's just have a quick look at the news and see what might be influencing this. 6:30, there was orange. That was just one European country. That shouldn't have had such a drastic effect. That's also one country. I think there were more items here. Yeah, they're classing high impact news. That's Swiss and is that France? Yeah, that's France. So there's a couple of things coming up, but nothing major. So we just sit and wait. As I mentioned before, I think it was Chris Shannon said he's found that 7 o'clock is the time when you get the big moves.
We got a ninja up on the euro Australian dollar, and it's starting to push through the green line.
I'm just checking this. I took my eye off who was actually on the call. There's quite a few on. Right, so euro Aussie dollar.
Yeah, the one you've got up on your screen now.
Yeah, so it's just wicked up to the green line. Yeah. You can see that the multi-time frame stochastic. We've got the 5 minute now pointing upwards. The green 15 minute is fairly stable, straight line. So what normally happens in that situation is what happened here. It made several attempts to get above the green line and just wick through on that one. So it could be intending to break through, but it's finding resistance. And once it breaks through, it's going to hit another area of resistance, or another line of resistance there. So I wouldn't rush to get in. A, because it hasn't crossed the green line, and B, because there's another obstacle just above it. And
you call in the red line another obstacle.
Yes, yeah, that's right. It is. It's a line of resistance. Any line. Well, I'm going to say any line on any chart. That might not be, but any line on my chart where I've got moving averages and trend lines, they do tend to be points of resistance or lines of resistance. May only be temporary resistance, but you can see there it got up there and then it reversed. It got up there, it reversed. It got up there, it reversed. So it is providing some resistance, and that line there will also cause a little bit of resistance. If you look at previous days, you'll see how price respects any line on the chart, and it could just be temporary. It could just sort of bounce off it and then have another go and break through it, but it will act as a resistance line. And the reason I say that is it's just to stop you getting in too early.
Yeah.
You might, if you take a longer term view, you might say, well, it's definitely going up, so I'm going to get in and I'll ride the drawdown. But to me, I just sit and wait until it's broken through. So you see, it's gone up there, it's made an attempt to get through, and then it's coming back. And what, just thinking about what's happening here, you've got buyers and sellers in the marketplace, and buyers are saying, we want to push price up, and sellers are saying, no, we don't want it to go above that line. And at the minute, sellers are winning. Let's just out of interest, have a look at the volume indicator, if it'll come on. There we go. So we've got sellers in control there where we had three green candles. We've now got buyers in control, hence the red candle. So the buyers are currently winning this battle. There's a battle going on, trying to get price above that line, and sellers say, no, we're not having that. It's going back down.
Richard, could you please explain that again? The green bars are saying that the sellers are in control, or the buyers?
The these volume candles here are saying that all the buyers are dominant.
Right.
The buyers are winning the battle here. And then you go to this candle and it's saying, right, the sellers are winning the battle. And that's reflected in the actual candle. I mean, these three green candles match those three green bars. And basically it's saying this is measuring how much volume is in the market on that candle. And it's also differentiating between selling volume and buying volume. And we've got buyers dominant here. So
they're up quite a way, even though the red candle is down the bottom, is a lot lower than the last green candle.
It's just reflecting what's going on in the market. In general terms, buyers are dominant on those three candles and on the current candle, which is only 3 minutes old. So there's time for this to go further up. The sellers are actually winning the battle at the moment. We've got a ninja up, but the sellers are saying, no, we don't want price to go above that line. You know, they've got, if you think about the big banks and the hedge funds and what have you, they've got customers who are selling, who are saying that, you know, they want price to be down, going down. They've actually got orders placed, speculating that price is going to go down, and therefore they're battling to keep price down. It's a lot more technical than that, but as a generalization, you get a battle between the buyers and the sellers, and currently the sellers are dominating. This line is the line that the sellers don't want price to go above.
Thank you.
And it's just a total generalization, but it's the best way I can explain. Well, it's the best way I understand it, to be fair. I don't understand all the details. I just understand this works. You can see it there. The price has tried several times to get above that green line, and price has failed. If you go to a bigger time frame, you'll see the same thing. Look, tried there, tried there, tried there, tried there, tried there. Go to a 1 hour time frame. It tried there, it's failed. So that line is a real resistance. And so long as the sellers are dominant, it'll continue. Once the buyers regain dominance, price will go above the line. But then it'll hit that line. That's the way I read it anyway. I mean, I may not be 100% technically correct there, but it works. If you adopt that thinking, it does work. So if I go back to where we were, the 5 minute, yeah, you see, it's just heading back up, and then it gets close to it and it gets knocked back. Buyers are gaining dominance right now. Now, there was some news at 7 o'clock. That's right now. There was some news, and that's caused price from being in a downward trend. It's now going in an upward trend. It's having another attempt at breaking through.
And if it breaks through that green line, would it? Well, it then goes into no man's land, doesn't it?
Because those two lines are quite close together, that red line is a concern. If you were looking at a higher time frame, let me just, if we were over here somewhere, sort of 8 o'clock-ish, and you were looking at price breaking through that green line, you would then be saying, well, there's quite a distance between the green and the red line. So there is the question I would ask is there room to maneuver before it reverses again? So I would just measure it, and I would say, okay, so between where we are now and where we're going to struggle, there's about 13.5 pips. There's also that one there. So I would if we were looking at it at about 8 o'clock, I would be looking at measuring that gap between the blue line and the green line. So I'd be looking at measuring from about there to the green line, and I'd be seeing, you know, you've got about 8 pips up to that green line, up to that blue line, I should say. So if price breaks through the green line, it's going to head north, and it's going to get to that point, and it's going to struggle to get that past that point, and then it's going to struggle to get past that point. That's my theory anyway. And if you look back, if you do a bit of back testing, you'll see that that works all the time. These lines, at the minute, that green line is acting as a ceiling. It's stopping price getting above that ceiling. Once it gets above it, that ceiling will become the floor.
Yeah.
And so price will struggle to go back, because the buyers will have won the battle and they'll protect that position. So that is currently a ceiling, and it'll become a floor once price gets above it. Then that will become the ceiling, and when it breaks through that, that'll become the floor.
Mm.
That's just the way I think of it. I could be totally wrong, but it works for me. So let's just have another quick look. There's nothing going on here. It's struggling to get past that resistance point. So we'll go back through the charts and just do a little summary now. I seem to have lost my lines for whatever reason. Just be patient. I don't know why this happens to, oh, there we go. So again, this is acting as a resistance zone. Price is starting to get back up again, but you know, you've got 2 other points of resistance. You've got the 5 moving average, a 13 moving average. You've then got a 50 moving average slightly above that. So there's not a lot going on here. Even if it breaks through the green line, there's a resistance point, then there's another resistance point. So that's not looking particularly attractive, and there's nothing above that right now. GBP, AUD, SIM, it's the same on all the pairs. They're really struggling to make any strong moves. Less clear there. But if you use these moving averages as potential targets, and if you measure the gap to the target, if it's not sufficient for you to profit, then stay out.
You're on the 15-minute, Richard.
All right. Okay. Thank you. All right. Okay. There we go. So there's another example of what I've just been saying. There are so many obstacles. Even if this price is eventually going to go up, way up here, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 obstacles in its way. Think about, you know, Paul talks about bounce or break. It'll bounce or break each of those lines.
Richard, your blue moving average, that's a 200, is it?
Correct. Yeah. Correct.
And then the one underneath that, is the 800.
800. Yeah. 800. Yeah.
Okay, I need to probably put those on my chart. I've got the blue one on, and I've got the yellow one and the orange one. I need to put the purple one on, the EMA for
just you go to Ninjacator. Actually, I think I need to update that. I think we might have got a 3.1 version. I'm not 100% sure. But the EMAs, there we go. I've got EMA number 1. I've got set of 5, EMO 2, EMA 250, 3 is 200, 4 is 800, and the trend change, the one that changes color, is the 13. Those are my settings.
So you've got 550, 200, and 800.
Yeah.
And the trend change is 13.
That's yeah, that's right.
Great, that's what I've got.
And then you choose your colors. The colors are entirely down to you, but if you go to style, you can decide what colors you want. Those are mine. So that's the 5 moving average is yellow. The 50 moving averages I've got as orange. The 200 moving average I've got as blue, and the 800 I've got as purple.
Yeah, that's what I've got there as well.
Okay,
Thank you, Richard.
not a problem. Okay, so it's 7 minutes past 7. I don't normally stay on much after 7. We've got the setups. I've run through what I'm looking for. I'm looking for price. I'll just go through them really quickly and just summarize. We're in a ninja down. So what I'm looking for is a ninja up. Well, either a ninja up or a continuation down. We were in a ninja up. We've had a ninja down. It's stalled.
Would you put an up or down alert on that?
Well, you can put an alert on, and then you can go and make a cup of coffee. If I was going to put an alert on, I'll show you what alert I would use. The condition that the indicator, well, you can either have an up alert, or you can have a down alert, or you can have a combined up and down alert, which will give you a signal whichever way it goes. And I prefer to use that one.
Right.
So I would use combined up and down. So whichever way it moves, you'll get an alert.
Because Kevin's just tweaked that, hasn't he?
He's done something with it. Yes, I did see that. And that's why I've got a feeling we might have a 3. I've got 3.0 on mine. There might currently be a 3.1 available. I'm just
The
going to check.
update on an indicator, Richard, is 3.0.1. So it's like a partial update on it, if you will.
All
Did it
right.
Yesterday.
Okay.
Did it yesterday. It's to do something to do with the ninja up and down.
Yeah.
Behind.
Right. Okay. So probably that one there, Indicator Plus, which I've got on. I probably need to log out and log back in again to get the 3.1. But anyway, it's a minor tweak to the alert. And so what I'm looking at here, I want to be away in a couple of minutes. We're in a bit of a no man's land. We've got an indicator down, but it's actually going up. If it continues to go down, we've got no targets to base our take profit on. If it goes up, it's got several obstacles, and it's only going to go up as far as that point. That, well, no, it could go on forever. That's misleading. But these are the potential targets, and to me, those targets are a bit too close to make it worthwhile. So I'm not as attracted by that. I'll go through the others.
So Richard, if it gets to 8 o'clock and none of these pairs have done anything, you would just say no trade on this system today.
Yeah, I mean, if you follow the rules of the strategy, we're only interested until 8 o'clock, because that's when the banks make the manipulation happen prior to 8 o'clock. It doesn't mean to say you can't take a trade after that. And quite often you can't. I mean, if you look at, let's just look at look at yesterday, for instance. Well, right. So that was yesterday, and that was 8 o'clock. And if we'd waited until 8:15, there was a huge green candle.
Yeah.
So you know that, it went even further. So you could have taken a lot of pips out of that, but that's outside of the scope of the Crossfire strategy. That's you trading on your own kind of thing. But there's nothing wrong with taking that trade. I mean, it's a massive, and then providing you got out before it started to go back down again. But the guidelines of the Crossfire strategy say we're interested between 6 and 8, and after that you're on your own kind of thing.
Okay. Just getting points clarified, that's all.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a really valid question, because I've noticed that you know, we tend to lose interest at 8 o'clock, and then I've noticed that there's been some big moves just after 8 o'clock. So by all means, follow. I mean, one of the things that I used to do was I would just pick one pair, for instance, GBP AUD, and just follow it all day. See what happens, and even if I wasn't taking trades, I would be interested in watching if I can get this to react to my.
Right now we're on a ninja up with GBP and AUD, and it's pushing, and the PSARs have switched and they're underneath, and there's quite a gap, and
I'm struggling to keep up with me. Bear with me. That's where we are. Okay, so GBP AUD 5-minute chart. We're still struggling to get up past that green line, and that's the story of today, really. I think all the pairs are in a similar situation. So just very quickly going to run through and then going to stop recording. I've also lost my lines, but anyway, it's the same situation. It's when my lines reappear, it'll be, there we go. We've got a green line, which it hasn't broken through yet.
Yeah, I think GBP AUD may just be thinking of making a move up now.
Yeah, that's worth keeping an eye on. Apart from anything else, if you go back to what I was saying before about if it breaks through, I'm concerned about this as a line of resistance, but you see how the gap is widening. So it's becoming more attractive. You've just got to bear in mind what the potential growth is. It's making a strong move.
You could almost use the red one then as a target, couldn't you?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that would be my target. Yeah, exactly. Because it will. If it continues this move, well, I would wait for the next candle because it's only 38 seconds away. I would wait for this new candle to open up above the green line, and I would seriously consider getting in for a buy up to that point there. And if I measured that, it may not be a full 10-pip move, but it's a fair, yeah, it's round about 10 pips. So let's say that candle opens at that point there, and we go up. Yeah, you're looking at, you could get 10 pips out of that if this new candle opens. Yeah, so there's the opening of the candle. It's just had a slight hesitation there, but I've got a feeling if we look at the multi-time frame, yeah, with 5 minute, it's still not in the extreme, and the green could potentially turn upwards as well. So there is room for that 10-pip move there. Buyers are still in control. PSAR's below the price. Let's just, did we have a ninja up? Yes, we've had a ninja up. So that's looking good. I'll just watch this and then I'm going to call it a day. Quickly look through the others. Yeah, that one's made the same move, look. It's on its way up to the red line. That one's struggling to get past GBP AUD. There we go, we've gone into reversal. GBP NZD hasn't made it yet. So so sellers have taken over on this candle. It's we're not quite 2 minutes into that candle, so it's got room. Now, everything is pointing towards going up, but it's struggling a bit. The AOMACD, we've got a green dot. The green is on top. 5 minutes, stochastic is still heading upwards. Right, I'm going to wait till the end of this candle. Then I'm going to call a halt.
Thank you again this morning, Richard.
No, not a problem. I need to remind everybody that John McLaughlin is doing a live session at 1 this afternoon, UK time. He's doing Crossfire and he's concentrating on gold. That should be interesting. And then I think Brian Knight's on this evening around about 8:30. Well, 2 minutes left on this candle.
Richard, what's your volume profile indicator? Is that just a standard one?
Yeah, I've got SVP, which is session volume profile. And then the other one that I use is the fixed range volume profile, where I just sort of do 1 day. Session volume gives you volume profiles for individual day sessions. So I've got volume profile on my chart for quite a few days going back in time. So I find that handy. But if you just want to do the session volume, you can go to indicators. Well, you can find that on this fixed range volume profile. You get that with the free version of TradingView. And that with that one, you choose your own range. So you can either choose a full day, or you can choose a week, or you can choose one of the big moves. You could go from the bottom to the top, and you can play around with a fixed range volume profile. But the one I've got on screen at the minute is session volume profile. Okay, so I'm going back to Crossfire now. That's disappointing. The sellers have sort of dominated on this candle. Right, so we're coming to the end of this candle. I'm going to see what happens when the new candle starts, and then I'm going to stop recording. So we just had an alert on GBP NZD. So that's actually come. This one has just dropped below the green line, unfortunately. And I suspect, yeah, that one was making its way up, but it's bounced off the resistance. So unfortunately, that one didn't go as planned, but there's still time for it to make a move. Anyway, any last questions? I'm going to stop my share and stop recording. The reason for that is I'm recording it for promotion purposes, and if it goes on for longer than an hour, you start to waste your time. People won't watch for an hour. Okay, so thanks for jumping on. I'll be back again on Tuesday at 1 p.m. UK time, and have a good weekend. We'll see you later.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye, everybody.
Bye now.
Cheers, Rich.